So towards my end, it's on the far corner. I have two bottom floors that entitled for shopping and restaurateurs. On the far end, I have the restaurants. You open up inside of a breezeway type entrance. It goes all the way down the shopping center. It's not really a long hallway. It's broken up by different styles and different shopping areas. And then at the end, you have a wide open food court. That way you don't feel cramped in from being inside of a large building. So that's one of the big ways that you try to open up the space. On the second floor, you have a bridge. It's not the full floor. It's just like a bridge walkway. It still has the exact same amount of restaurants, the same amount of shopping centers and stuff. But that way you have enough room for the fountain that I have that's able to bring in, that's tying the top floor to the bottom floor. Because I want to make sure that top and bottom floor kind of related to each other.
You did the hockey arena, which was more than a hockey arena, right? It worked for other sports.
Yes, it's just basically a multi-purpose arena, and on one end of the arena, it actually has a massive stairwell that connects down to the food court, along with escalators to connect down to. And the multi-purpose arena, we had to make it shaped, a lot different so it could be drawn in for people's attentions. They have to be able to see it from distances. And the reason that we did a multi-purpose arena is because if you look around Detroit, there's a lot of other sports complexes. There's baseball fields, football fields.
Well, I know the Lions and the Tigers both play right across the interstate from where our side is. So we wanted to tie hockey in for the Red Wings.
Exactly.
As well as a Boys and Girls Club, YMCA type area as well, right?
Yes. And then underneath the hockey multi-purpose arena, there's going to be a parking garage to house all the parking for the entire building, for the mall, and for the stadium and everything else in the building. So,
over here to Lane, you handled the office and the residential, right?
Yes. Right above Allen's, there is a bit of green space, and just a few skylights, and then next to that, takes up about 2/3 of the surface of the roof, are two 8-story buildings. One which is all offices. It's mainly windows on the outside, and then has the offices on the inside with columns that go down, but between every four, the cubicles with the walled in. And with these, what makes these columns different is that they're made of glass, so light can come in from above and shine in throughout the offices on the inside. So even though they're on the inside, not connected to the outside of the building where they have light coming in, they would have light coming in from between them.
Well, we wanted to do a design school because we knew that education wasn't the best in Detroit, so we wanted to be able to bring the people in. And design kind of relates back to automobiles and everything, which was a big industry in Detroit. The Eddystone was one of the buildings on the National Historic Registry, and that was going to be the residential, the dorms for the design school. It's broken into suite living, and it connects to the Park Avenue through sky bridges. It connects to the Collaboration Center and the design school on 2 different floors.
Everybody in Detroit cares about their history because everybody in Detroit remembers when their parents were working in the factories, right? So we added a museum on the ground floor of the design school that allowed for rotating exhibit space as well as a permanent history museum in the area for whether it be cars or the sports teams. We had a completely different design until Brandon walked in one day with this shape, and it all sort of evolved from there. So if you want to kind of hit on that shape you did.
Yeah, what we kind of did is, if you look at the shape of a typical, stadium, it's kind of mostly in an oval shape. And so what we decided to do is to make just an oval shape around the side. And then from there, what we did is on the sides, we basically curved it up on the sides and on the ends to make it look more like a pill shape. And to kind of just, if you're looking from a distant way, you see this big like rounded form, and then it's like, what is this rounded form out in the distance?
Yeah.
I have to go look at this. And so, and we later decided to link Lane's idea of having the glass tubes that go up inside the offices. We decided on the ends, actually all the way around it, to put the tubes curving in the curve of the building, and they will actually stick up from the building a little bit. And so our idea of having them stick up a little bit is to basically have a cradling idea to kind of cradle the stadium inside these finger-like
And they really do look like
They
fingers,
look like
just
someone's doing
bent
that.
fingers holding the whole thing up. And,
Yes.
and I remember we sort of tied that whole cradle idea in with other portions of the design, right? We talked about how not only does the columns cradle the building, the one shape, but then the rest of the larger building sort of cradles the one pill shape.
Yes.
And Alan, we also tied that over into the design school. How we wanted to show something growing out almost, and so there are little portions of the building that have just emerged from the edge of this building, but they're still cradled in place by the components of the old buildings. But they're obviously something new that didn't exist before. Sort of cradled. We showed how those light tubes not only fit around the arena, but they also went down into your building.
They go around to the top of his building and everything. They're on the sides and on top of kind of like that. And they're all over my the residential, not the residential, but the office space. They're going through again, letting light in. There's kind of a one, not really one, but it has the same kind of oval look sticking out the side of the office.
Slowly wanted to start this whole idea of cradle, because now we're sort of cradling the community in this side. And then we branched off from that and slowly built our lead components like we talked about.
Originally, what we first saw on the requirements was the space. The minimum was the spacing. It was, I think it was like 2% to 98%.
Yeah.
And what we saw is that we thought it said 2% of the space being building, the rest of it being green space. So we were freaking out about that and saying how impossible it is, and there's no way we could do
I mean, we thought about doing like a type of mesh
Kind of
on
like
the
a screen
windows.
door or something like that, just to put it over, and that way it would block the air. And I mean, it'd still kind of be cold inside there, but it wouldn't be as cold, and there wouldn't be snow and stuff. And that way,
we found plants that could grow on it too, right? And they're actually certified by the USGBC that reduce carbon monoxide. And so we talked about growing those on the side. Another one, and I know how we sort of worked in catching the rainwater is we sort of have flat roofs on our building because they have to be accessible by people since they're green. But a way we used that was we created sort of an awning system that instead of slanting down to drop the water down the building, it slants up and it pulls the water into the side. And there's sort of a drain there, right? And it catches all the water and we can reuse it.